Welcome to the 66th episode of the Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast.
So fucking goddamn paranormal.
Wow. I love the passion.
Thank you.
My name is Jason Knight, host of the show.
Thing, guys.
And with me today, as always, is...
Oscar Spector.
Producer extraordinaire.
That's what my wife calls me in bed. Not married.
What are you producing?
Babies.
Oh, all right.
Lots of babies.
Extraordinary.
Yes.
Oscar, where is...
Oscar?
Oscar.
What the fuck?
Where is Alexis this evening?
Well, since we're in the middle of the... No, I'm kidding. She is off sleeping.
Off sleeping.
She has work actually in the morning.
Come on, can we be honest with each other here right now?
9 a.m.
While she's not here?
9 a.m. Yeah, what do we have?
It's usually 9 a.m. 2 days from recording.
Usually it's 9 a.m. Wait, what?
2 days.
Oh, from recording. Yes.
You know,
No,
so
in this case, it is actually tomorrow.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
Well, she's here in spirit.
She hates it though. She's never asked for those kind of schedules before.
Not a morning person?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
No.
I do best at night. I
Yeah, me
sleep
too.
great during the day.
Yeah.
Do great work at night.
Me too.
You try to get me to do it vice versa, it's like pulling teeth.
It is like that to me. It's like I don't know, the equivalent of like living in North Korea. Maybe it's just that's how bad it is.
Kim Jong-un?
Yeah, that guy and his dad before him.
Kim Jong-il?
Ill?
Wasn't it?
I don't fucking know.
I don't fucking know either.
I don't remember.
All I know is they're maniacs.
Yeah.
Any news? Anything interesting over the last 2 weeks, Oscar? We had a lot of good reviews on the Lake Michigan Triangle episode.
We did. Good. I hope we did. And I didn't see anything. But I'm awful at looking at that thing. I still haven't been to our new website.
Oh, Oscar, come on. You know how much time, money, and resources I put into that website and you haven't even looked at it?
Yeah, I know you well enough.
I'm going to start
sure
calling
it's
you.
great.
Aw.
I'm sure it's great.
Aw.
See?
I was mad. Now I'm like
Yeah, that's how I do it. I'm really good at that.
warm and fuzzy. And so you are good at that.
I'll take it back real soon. Don't worry.
You want to take me out drinking?
Yeah, I'll get you a lobster, put out.
Yeah, so anything interesting happened to you over the past two?
Well, you know what's funny? I got a podcasting gig at an office the other day.
You did?
Yes, I did. It was very interesting, but it had nothing to do with anything supernatural. It just had to do with podcasting. It was like a marketing ploy for their employees in their hopes that they memorize things that they probably never will memorize or want to memorize.
I hate memory. Just let me go off the cuff.
Right.
Just put me off the cuff. I do best.
That's what I do. You do the research. I go off the cuff or whatever you say.
Yeah, and you tell me beforehand. You're like, yeah, I researched it.
Yeah, and you sometimes do. Sometimes do. This time I didn't have a chance to do it, though.
So that was that gig you were talking about at the office. That was a
paying
real
gig.
Professional gig.
It was a professional. Yeah, I actually had to edit the thing, like real editing, not like this
Not
show.
like what you do here.
No, not like the show. I had to actually edit it, like take out all the and the
Was the presenter eating a sandwich?
a sandwich.
Yes.
Are you okay today?
I'm having an episode.
You having an
A
episode?
fit,
Okay.
a spell.
We're both on 2-hour sleep, guys. So FYI
We
on that.
really are. No, that's not an exaggeration either.
That one's not. Yeah, that one's exactly true. I slept in the car for 2 hours too.
Oh, man.
I know it sucked. Anyway, no, he wasn't eating a sandwich, but he had trouble, speaking English in general. So we had to do a lot of takes.
Oh, my God.
A lot of takes. Poor bastard. I wish I was there to teach him, third grade English. It was really bad.
But you were getting paid for it. This is something you do.
Yeah,
Professionally?
something I did, yes.
We
And if
got to
they
let
like
the
it
listeners
enough,
know.
I'll
Oh,
do
go
it
ahead.
again.
Sorry. So please.
And if they like it enough, I'll do it again for them, and as well as for any other person or entity, organization, cult. I don't care.
Brainwashing material?
Yeah,
Fine.
dude, guys. I mean, my voice, if my voice is what appeals to that culty aspect, by all means, hire me for that too. But if not, I can, get your laser lotus minister to do it for you. It's fine. I can record him or her or it, whatever you call him.
And make them sound good.
Yeah, make them sound good, guys. Make them sound good and widely available on MP3 for you people.
So how would listeners get a hold of you if they wanted to contract you to do some audio podcasting marketing work?
You can do that through this show, through its Gmail We have a Gmail, don't we?
Yeah, no.
No, I thought we had a Gmail.
It's contact@chicagoghostpodcast.com.
No, it's not.
It really is.
Oh, my God.
Promise.
I should really pay attention to this stuff.
Every episode, at the top of the show, we run through the contact info. So you would suggest they contact you through the show?
Yes, through the show, because I don't want to give out an exact email. I mean, after that, we'll get into contact. After I get to contact with people, then I'll let them.
So
my email
It's like a vetting process,
right? Because I don't have a company to it. It's just me doing it whenever, like a freelancer.
Okay,
like a freelancer. Yeah,
great.
So I'll just come in whenever people need me, and do a gig, and then get out.
I love it.
Yeah,
quick hits, get the job done.
Right.
Get paid, move on.
Yes.
So you heard it, folks. If you want to hire Oscar Spector for your producing, podcast, editing, creative needs,
I even did the
show.
If you like the intro, the old intro for this show before Joe bogarted me on that. If you like that kind of thing, I made that up from scratch. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we could talk about something crazy like that.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah.
So get a hold of them.
They call me One Take Oscar. That's what they call me. Everything takes one take Oscar, except for the guy at the office the other day.
Couldn't speak English.
Right, who couldn't speak English, except for that guy.
So you heard it. Contact@chicagoghostpodcast.com. You could reach Oscar at our Facebook page, at Chicago Ghost Podcast on Facebook. Hit us up on Instagram or Twitter. Oscar will get the notification at Chicago Ghosts on Instagram and Twitter. Mm-hmm. And you can't get a hold of him on Patreon, but you can help support him on Patreon.
That's right. I need to eat.
He needs to eat. He needs zapatos.
You need diapers?
I need diapers. On Patreon, it's...
What are you, 70 years old? You need diapers now?
Patreon.com/Supernatural Occurrence Studies Podcast.
Yeah.
Help support the show. Help support Oscar. Help support the Supernatural Occurrence Studies Podcast. We were talking about news over the last 2 weeks. I got nothing.
Nothing.
I got nothing. Last 2 weeks was pretty boring. I mean, my daughter's birthday is coming up. We're having a party this weekend for her.
Right.
She's going to be 10 years old.
A whole decade old?
Could you believe that? You babysat her when she was like size of a shoebox.
A little chicken nugget, yeah.
She's going to be 10. My son just turned 5. I'm getting old as fuck.
Yeah. Wow, 5 years apart, huh?
5 years apart, yeah. It's like four and a half. No,
it'd be more.
He's April, she's May.
It'll be more than that.
Right.
Five
So
and
almost,
change.
just almost 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's great right now. Like, they really like each other. But when she hits high school, she's going to hate her brother when and vice versa.
The good thing about that gap is that when he starts high school, she'd be out of high school. Unless she fucks up and fails at you.
Oh, God forbid.
Yeah, so that way, like, they won't be, like, together like that. So won't be in the same school. They don't have to deal with each other at a high school level. Like, he'll be starting high school when she'd be starting college.
He'll be after all of her little friends. All
Probably.
Little hot high school friends. Oh, can I say that?
Probably.
It's weird. I didn't mean that.
It's not weird.
Oh, okay.
It's, not to me, but I have no kids, so what the fuck? I don't know.
Yeah, so your birthday's coming up. Otherwise, just a lot of traveling, a lot of working, a lot of paying the bills, getting paid.
Yeah, I'm getting ready for this wedding I'm doing.
You're doing a wedding?
Well, I'm not doing it, I guess. I'm attending a wedding.
Ah, okay. Whose wedding?
An old friend of mine from, like, high school, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he made me his best man.
Well, that's a huge honor.
And my brother.
Two best men.
Yes, two best men. And I don't know. I assume he picked my brother because I'm clearly the one who hung out with him way more than we're the same age, for example.
Yeah.
But I think he picked my brother Ralph because he has no idea what I'll do as a best man. So he probably wanted like a safe structure below me.
Hence your brother.
Right. Hence my brother because he is the sane one in all the groups we're in.
Got it.
I'm insane. And, so it's going to be a trip. It's going to be in Indiana, and it's... a
destination wedding.
Yeah, in Indiana. Sorry, people from Indiana. Crossroads.
Indiana.
The reason we call them Crossroads of the Americas, that's what we call it, right?
Indiana Crossroads.
It's because people want to get to places, but not to Indiana.
Don't stay. Keep on moving.
No, it's going to be fun anyway.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good. Always good to have something.
It's a dry wedding, though.
What?
Dry wedding.
Stop the mic. Wait, stop it.
Screech.
You said a dry wedding?
A dry wedding.
You better bring a flask of something.
Oh, and he invited all his friends from Chicago. Half of us are Hispanic, the other half are Polish.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know.
Well, maybe no one will die at the wedding by stabbings or...
What do you mean?
Well, everyone will be sober, so the Hispanics and the Polish won't have a reason to fight.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, we do pick on them a lot. No. I think, if anything, it'll lead to more violence for the lack of alcohol there is to sustain conversations with people that we haven't seen in a while or have never met, considering a lot of these people at the wedding we will never meet. Oh, we never met before, I mean.
Or again,
right? God willing.
That's a good point.
And we're pre-gaming, we're bringing fun. I'm gonna bring some.
You're stumbling in.
I'm going to do something.
I could whip you up a batch of Manhattans.
At the aisle, I'm going to wear one of those beer hats with the 2 beer cans on the side with the tube. I'm just going to wear that.
When you first just started motioning to your head, I thought you were going to say sombrero.
Sombrero, no.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Thought that's where you were going.
No, it's okay, but my back is wet, though.
We should do this on 2 hours of sleep more often.
Yes.
This is very natural, very fluid.
It's getting somewhere. It's getting somewhere potentially dangerous.
Well, let's take it somewhere.
All right, let's take it somewhere.
What do you think? So we got the lights turned down low. The drinks are a-flowing. And our ceremonial candle is lit.
Where?
Let's jump into this episode, which is going to be a very interesting episode, right after we hear from our sponsors.
Do you think we do a non-interesting episode?
I would never say that.
Okay.
But there's been some that I'm not happy with.
Okay.
But
let's get into
they're all fantastic.
Yeah, they're all great. Let's get into the ads. Yeah, boy?
This episode of the Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast is brought to you by GoDaddy.com. GoDaddy.com is offering our listeners a huge 30% discount on any new GoDaddy service. Go ahead and buy that domain you've always wanted. Build your dream website, sell your product, and communicate with your fans. Anything you need to get your business and ideas online and productive. To take advantage of the 30% discount, you must visit www.trygodaddy.com/SOS-radio. What are you waiting for? That's trygodaddy.com/SOS-radio. Start building your online presence today.
Today's episode of the Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast is brought to you by LootCrate.com. Loot Crate, totally rad swag from your favorite movie, television, and video game franchises delivered conveniently to your front door. That's Marvel, Far Cry, Rick and Morty, Batman, WWE, Harry Potter, anime, Minecraft, Stranger Things, and a whole lot more, guys. Visit trylootcrate.com/SOS-radio and enter promo code BRIDGE10 to receive 10% off any new subscription. That's trylootcrate.com/SOS-radio and enter promo code BRIDGE10 for 10% off any new subscription to Loot Crate. Your order must be placed, however, before 9 p.m. Pacific Time on or before the 19th of the month to secure your special listener offer. That's trylootcrate.com/SOS-radio and enter promo code, what's that, guys? BRIDGE10. Wow, them ads. Just want to buy something. Don't you want to buy something?
I want to buy some shit from those ads.
I think I used the one I recorded on this one.
Did you really?
I think so. I used it.
I love that you actually voiced an ad for us.
Right. Yeah, we had one of. Remember, we leapfrogged. All of us did it once, and then I'm using none of those, and just.
I do, especially like Dave's and Joe's.
Yes, that's right.
Cool. Yeah. No. Thanks for recording that for us.
Yeah,
I'm gonna buy that shit.
You didn't even know what the ads were.
I don't remember.
Magic of editing.
Magic of editing.
Right.
All right. You ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it. Come on. I'm excited.
In 2017. Millions of national and international television news watchers, radio listeners, YouTubers, and para-news followers tuned into the saga of a young man who simply goes by the name Noah. Noah's interviews are always from undisclosed locations. His face is blurred and his voice is synthesized, disguised. He does this to protect himself from the government or from other nefarious groups of individuals who would want to get their hands on him because of what he is. You see, Noah claims to be from the year 2030, a time traveler, and he's come back to 2018 with news from the future.
Oh, kind of like the sound of my voice.
Yeah.
You seen that movie?
No.
Then why would you say yeah to that?
I thought you said, do you like the sound of my voice?
No. Why would?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm weird, Jay, but why would I just suddenly interrupt you?
I don't know.
If it wasn't important or like connected.
So there's a connection to a movie you
There's
watched?
a movie, yeah, called The Sound of My Voice with Britt Marling, her name is, and she's a person who created this kind of cult in this suburbia town, I remember. And it's about these journalists who are infiltrating the cult because she claims she's from a future so distant and apocalyptic, and she's come back to warn and get followers to survive the impending doom of the cultural world.
That kind of ties into some of the stories tonight.
Reminds me of Just Like That.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway.
No, that's good. Well, so time traveler Noah has come back to 2018 with news from the future. Yes, Donald Trump will win the 2020 election, and Martin Luther King Jr.'s granddaughter will be president in the year 2030. Noah promises that in the future, renewable energy will take off. A machine you wear, kind of like Google Glass, but with the processing power of a full-on computer, will take over the world. And that North Korea will be defeated, and Kim Jong-un, we were just making fun of Kim, will be, quote, dealt with. And North Korea will just become Korea.
Wait, would that be part of South Korea?
Just north-south merge into just Korea. No more north, no more south.
Okay.
Now, Noah claims that the ability to time travel will be revealed to the world in 2028, but we've actually been able to do it since 2003. He claims to time travel via a huge dome structure located somewhere in the middle of nowhere, America. His words, not mine. Which emits huge amounts of electricity that interacts with a special suit he wears and an implant in his hand. So electrical dome interacts with a suit, a special suit that Noah wears, along with a certain implant that he has in his hand. They all work together to allow him to try time travel. Now, the funny thing is, there are x-rays, supposedly of Noah's own hand and wrist, which do show a small pill-like implant. And apparently he's passed various lie detector tests concerning his claims. Now, I don't know. I got to tell you, Noah, he is a horrible, horrible interviewee when you watch all his videos. He doesn't even try to be convincing. In my opinion, he's complete and total bullshit. But the hook here is that he captured the public's imagination. His videos have millions of views, not to mention international press coverage from legitimate news sources. Then there's the old-timey photographs circling the internet, seemingly taken during the early 20th century, only the photos show people holding cell phones and other modern devices or wearing early 21st century clothing and sporting modern eyewear and hipster haircuts. Just Google image 1940s time traveler to see what I'm talking about. Have you seen these kind of photos circling around online, Oscar?
No.
Really?
But when did they start cropping up again?
They've been probably for the last 4 to 5 years. You see these photos, these old...
So dubious. We're living in
early
such a
20th
dubious,
century
gray area time where I don't believe anything online.
I know.
We can
But
doctor anything.
Absolutely. But the point is, it captures... people search for it. They find meaning in it. They believe it. It's this wanting to believe in time travel.
Yeah.
Now, my favorite example of this kind of photo cropping, if you will, or this person out of place in an old photo theme, is from a 1995 Mike Tyson fight when he was fighting Peter McNeely. There, standing in the front row, is a mysterious spectator holding what clearly looks like a thin, white smartphone with a camera lens on it, like a white iPhone, and he's recording the fight. Problem is, camera phones didn't come out until the year 2000. There's even video of this as it happens, and I'll leave a link to that video in the show notes. But as it turns out, it wasn't a camera phone at all, but an early mobile camcorder called the Dicam Logitech. But again, the internet went wild with the possibilities of a time traveler. It's funny how people focus on what it could be. In this case, a time traveler going back in time with a cell phone to record a Mike Tyson fight, instead of thinking, I wonder what camcorders looked like in 1995. We love the idea of time travel. In the year 2003, a man named Andrew Carlssin was arrested for making 126 high-risk stock trades and was absolutely successful on every one, effectively turning $800 into $350 million in a very short time period. In a confession, he claimed to be a time traveler from the year 2056, who had an intimate knowledge of how the stock market would play out in the year 2003. Now, most believe this to be a bogus urban legend, but major news networks picked up the story and ran with it, and people were enthralled with the possibility of Carlson's story being true.
That's 2003 mentions already.
What was the first one?
The first one was the guy said that the time travel was invented in 2003, but it'll be made public in 28.
Yes, you're right.
2003 also, the year, right around the year, I think it came out like early 2004, that one of the more critical, probably the most critically thinking, smartest, highly revered, even though it's very independent, time traveling movie, Primer, came out.
Oh, I never heard of it.
Primer, you never heard of it?
Mm-mm.
It used to be on Netflix for a long time. I don't know if it's still on there. It's a really amazing, awesome movie. You look at it, and
Primer,
you feel,
folks, Primer,
and you feel like the guys invented time travel in the movie. That's how real it feels.
Wow.
And the way they describe it, and it's so complicated, and the minutiae and the details. And one of them does play the stock market, actually.
No kidding.
So, yeah.
Well, it was kind of like, what was it, Back to the Future 2 or 3, when Biff went back, he had the sports almanac.
The sports almanac, yeah.
And made all the bets. So you see a common theme here. So yeah, it could be completely bullshit, complete bullshit.
Right.
But people love it, right? Now let's go back even further. On October 28, 1943, during an experiment at the Philadelphia Navy Yard, a Navy escort destroyer called DE-173, better known as the USS Eldridge, better known as the USS Eldridge, with hundreds of tons of electronic equipment on board and crew, was made to disappear, then reappear at the Norfolk Navy Yard in Virginia, a 273-mile car ride away, where it disappeared once again and then reappeared back at its dock in Philadelphia, all in the matter of minutes. Some reports say that it all happened in less than a single minute. Of course, an experiment like this produced legendary, terrifying results. Sailors who were on board the USS Eldridge when it made its fantastic trip were said to have gone mad. Some were rendered invisible or partially invisible. Some of the sailors burst into flames, while others melted into and merged with bulkheads on the ship, flesh and metal becoming one. And probably the most horrid outcome, some men were said to have been turned inside out.
So you're talking the fly shit.
Yeah.
Morphing with the telepod and shit.
Yes.
Yeah. The baboon inside out, remember?
That's right.
Yeah.
Dubbed the Philadelphia experiment, apparently naval scientists were trying to work with Einstein's unified field theory, which hypothesized, in layman's terms, that if one could build a machine that could unify electricity and magnetism to produce gravity, then merge the three forces into a single unified force, in turn, one could produce time travel. And if Einstein's relativity theory is correct, then whoever can control gravity also holds the key to controlling time. The Philadelphia experiment, world famous, conspiracy theory rich. Books, movies, music has been written about the Philadelphia experiment. So these are all examples of popular time travel stories. The Young Man Called Noah, old-timey photos with travelers in them, time travelers in them, Andrew Carlssin, the stock market time traveler, the person at the Mike Tyson fight in 1995, and, of course, the Philadelphia experiment. The list could go on, but my favorite time traveler stories are a little lesser known. And those are John Titor, time traveler, or Titor, or Titor, however you want to pronounce it. It's spelled Titor, and the man from Taured. Let's talk about John Titor.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, but I know that's the main thing, right? The main soup?
Yes.
Wow. This thing about you were saying before about how they that people, mass people of the population want time travel to exist so bad. That's why they, glom onto it, ignoring questions like, were there camcorders in the 90s?
Right, exactly. Good.
What if it's like a more cynical viewpoint could also be that we kind of like want, instead of solving our problems today, which could be, from the atmospheric changes to oil to terrorism
political stuff,
to taxes to whatever, right? Racism, whatever the hell is your problem, the main problems. I feel like instead of solving them, people just want to skip to the solution. Like maybe that's the thing that they want.
No matter how far-fetched the solution is.
Right. They just want to time travel away from the problem.
I agree.
Right. I feel like it's a little bit of that too.
Absolutely.
Anyway, continue.
No, that's a great point. So John Titor. John Titor's origin story starts on July 29th, 1998, with a fax sent to Art Bell, rest in peace, former host of Coast to Coast AM during one of his open line segments where anyone could call in and talk about anything. I'll read John Titor's original fax to Art Bell from July 29th, 1998. This is quote, "Dear Art, I had to fax when I heard other time travelers calling in from any time past the year 2500 AD. Please let me explain. Time travel was invented in 2034. Offshoots of certain successful fusion reactor research allowed scientists at CERN to produce the world's this gets good, to produce the world's first contained singularity engine." Now, mind you, this is all in the facts. He goes on, "The basic design involves rotating singularities inside a magnetic field. By altering the speed and direction of rotation, you could travel both forward and backward in time. Time itself can be understood in terms of connected lines. When you go back in time, you travel on your original timeline. When you turn your singularity engine off, a new timeline is created due to the fact that you and your time machine are now there. In other words, a new universe is created.
Okay.
To get back to your original line, you must travel a split second farther back and immediately throw the engine into forward without turning it off. Some interesting outcomes of this are, 1, you meet yourself. I've done it often. Even taken a younger version of myself along for a few rides before returning myself to the new timeline and going back to mine. 2, you can alter history in the new universe that you have just created. Most of the time, the changes are subtle. Sometimes I'll notice car models that don't exist, or books that come out late or are named differently. Sound familiar?
Yes.
And the fact still continues. The oldest one, and this is quote, and this is weird, but this is his sentence in the facts. The oldest one was a skyscraper that wasn't built in a near favorite store of mine in New York. That's the way it's written. It continues. Interestingly, when you travel in time, you must compensate for the orbit of Earth. Since the time machine doesn't move, you have to adjust the engine so you remain on the planet when you turn it off. Unfortunately, it was also discovered that anyone going forward in time from my 2036 hit a brick wall in the year 2564.
2564?
Yes.
Okay.
Cannot go beyond. Everyone who has ever been there has reported that nothing exists. When the machine is turned off, you find yourself surrounded by blackness and silence. Now, most time travelers are trying to find out where the line went bad by going into the past, creating a new universe, and proceeding forward to see if the same thing results in 2564. It appears the line went bad around the year 2000. This is still the facts, listeners. This is still the facts. I'm here now, in this timeline, to test a few theories of mine before going forward. Now, for the future you might want to know about. 1. Y2K is a disaster. Many people die on the highways when they freeze to death trying to get to warmer weather. 2. The government tries to keep power by instituting martial law, but all of it collapses when their efforts to bring the power back up fail. 3. A power facility in Denver is able to restart itself, but is mobbed by hundreds of thousands of people and destroyed. This convinces most that maybe we shouldn't bring the old system back up. 4. A few years later, communal government system is developed after the Constitution takes a few twists. China retakes Taiwan, Israel wins the largest battle for their life, and Russia is covered in nuclear snow from their collapsed reactors. Art. The reason I'm here now is because I believe a nuclear weapon set off by Iraq in the Middle East war with Israel might have something to do with the damaged timeline. I will test that theory and get back to you. Please pray that we discover the reason why there is no apparent future after 2564. End quote. End of first facts.
Out of how many?
Oh, there was a ton. There was a bunch of faxes, tons of posts. I can't get into all of them. I'm trying to encapsulate the gist.
Gotcha.
So that was the first fax. Then, later, in 1998, Art Bell, Coast to Coast AM, rest in peace, received a second fax from Titor. And it read, "Dear Mr. Bell, I'm glad you're back. I faxed this information to you the day before you left the air." Side note, guys. Art Bell left Coast to Coast AM on October 13th, 1998, due to threats against him and his family. But he did come back, so this is what Titor's referencing. He goes on in the fax, "I want to make sure it wasn't lost in the shuffle, so I'm sending a gift. If you've already seen this, please accept my apologies. If you choose to make this public, please do not publish the fax number. I had to fax when I heard the other time traveler calling in from the recent time past, in fact, the year 2500 AD. Let me explain. Mr. Bell, I sent a fax with this opening on July 29th, 1998. As I said then, I am a time traveler. I have been on this world since April of this year, and I plan to leave soon. Typically, time travelers do not purposely affect the world lines they visit. However, this mission is unusually long, and I've grown attached to some of the people I have met here. Anyway, for my own reasons, I have decided to help this world line by sharing information about the future with a few people in the hope that it will help their future. I'm contacting you for the same reason. Unfortunately, there is no historical reference to your program, Coast to Coast, in my world line. I believe you could change your future by creating one now. Some of the information presented on your program may be invaluable to upline researchers. I suggest you isolate the programs that concentrate on military technology and new physics theories. Transcribe these programs and put them someplace safe away from the box. I recommend someplace in the Midwest. I also urge you to reconsider your paranoia to the Russians. They are not preparing for war with the average U.S. citizen. They are preparing for war with the U.S. government. They will eventually save this country and the lives of millions of Americans. I realize my claims are a bit difficult to accept, so I will send the following once I know you have received this fax. A few pages from the operations manual of my time machine. and a few colored photographs of my vehicle. If you wish to contact me, I will be happy to share with you the nature of time, the physics of time travel, and some of the events of your future. Please send a return package to ... end quote. And of course, Art Bell left the return fax number off the air.
Okay.
I'll leave a link to Titor's Time Machine Manual in the show notes for this episode. Listeners, you've got to check it out.
How does it look like, in your opinion?
It looks like the Ghostbuster Ghost Trap. The one they throw out. It's got the black and white stripes on
Really?
it.
It's like a giant version of that?
It's like that. Yeah, that's what it looks. It's not what it is.
Right.
That's what it looks like.
Right. The schematics.
Yeah. Okay, so the saga continues. 2 years later, after that last fax I read, 2 years later, on November 2nd, 2000, a user by the name of Time Traveler _0, posted the following message on the Time Traveler Institute's forums. Greetings. I am a time traveler from the year 2036. I am on my way home after getting an IBM 5100 computer system from the year 1975. My time machine is a stationary mass temporal displacement unit manufactured by General Electric. The unit is powered by two top-spin, dual-positive singularities that produce a standard offset Tipler sinusoid. I will be happy to post pictures of this unit. Then, on January 28, 2001, on Art Bell's forums, an online counterpart to Coast to Coast AM, a user by the name of John Titor posted the following. My initial flight was from 2036 to 1975, 61 years. I then went to 1975 to 2000, 25 years. Later this year, one of two favorable windows will open and I will return to my 2036, 35 years. I am here now for personal reasons. And John Titor would continue to post on the Coast to Coast forums throughout 2001, making predictions and talking with fellow time travel enthusiasts, telling them that he was living in all places, Florida, and that he belonged to, since the age of 13, the Florida Fighting Diamondbacks militia, and that they were the ones who sent him back in time to find the IBM 5100 computer. He told people that his first time machine was retrofitted inside a 1967 Chevy Corvette, and then later installed in a 1987 truck because the frame needed to be more durable for time travel. As I said, most of these communications were on Art Bell's forum. I brain farted, 2 hours of sleep, guys. Most of these communications were on Art Bell's forums throughout the year 2000, but in March 2001, Titor stopped responding, and he was never heard from again. Many believe Titor stopped communicating because he did, in fact, find his perfect window, and traveled back to his 2036 in a different timeline where none of this existed. And the communications, I'm telling you, the messages go on and on and on. Oscar, we don't have time to read through them all. So let's get into some of the details and predictions.
The jet lag must be awful.
Oh, my God. Let's start with the IBM 5100 computer, because this is fucking interesting. So Titor claimed that he had to travel back to 1975 to retrieve an IBM 5100 computer to debug, and this is a quote, to debug aging technology still being used in my timeline in 2036. The interesting thing here is the IBM 5100 did, in fact, have a very unique capability unknown to the general public. This is fact. The IBM 5100 had the capability to emulate programs in older languages used by IBM mainframes. And people in Titor's time wanted to access its secret legacy code to help diagnose their aging technology. Again, this information was never divulged to the public by IBM for fear of what competitors could do with the information. In 2004, This special feature of the IBM 5100 was confirmed by an IBM 5100 engineer named Bob Dubke. Titor somehow had gained intimate, unreleased proprietary knowledge of the inner workings of this machine. Was he just some mega nerd with, deep IBM connections? Mm-hmm. Or was he really a time traveler? No one knew about this outside of the development program that manufactured this 1975 computer. It's amazing. Now, the science behind Titor's time machine, what he calls the C204 gravity distortion unit. Now, remember, I said when we briefly mentioned the Philadelphia experiment and Einstein's relativity theory that he who can control gravity also holds the key to time. Yeah, well, it seems some of Titor's time machine descriptions check out. On January 31st, 2001, Titor said, "The source of power for the C204 that allows it to distort and manipulate gravity comes from two microsingularities that were created, captured, and cleaned at a much larger and circular facility. The breakthrough that will allow for this technology to occur within a year or so when CERN brings their large hadron facility online." That is a quote from Titor. Yeah, CERN. His time machine included magnetic housing units for dual microsingularities. It included an electron injector manifold to alter mass and gravity of microsingularities. It contained cooling and X-ray vending systems, gravity sensors, a variable gravity lock system, or VGL system. In layman's terms, a system that stops the time traveler from literally melting into objects. Something the Philadelphia experiment apparently didn't have. His time machine contained 4 main clocks, or four main cesium units, and 3 main computer units. Interestingly, maybe even startlingly, physicists claim that a lot of Titor's time machine descriptions are right on, even if some are off. But could that offness, if you will, just be a gap in our current knowledge base of how all this stuff works today in 2018?
Like we don't understand how it fits yet because we haven't learned how to make it fit?
Right. So to us, it's an error.
Right.
But in his timeline, it's the way it is.
Or he purposely, maybe neglected a few things he might need to actually make it work.
So other people couldn't do it.
Right.
And in some of his posts, he does express concern that the knowledge of this type of device and time travel fall into the wrong hands.
I mean, just enough.
So that's a very good idea, Oscar.
Maybe just enough for proof, but not enough to actually build the damn thing. Yeah, because it's very risky to. That's like giving a monkey an AK-47.
You're absolutely right.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's what he was driving at.
That's very risky.
Now, let's talk about some of Titor's predictions. During his time online, John Titor made many predictions. Although invoking the many worlds theory interpretation of quantum mechanics, whereby events from his timeline may differ from our own. It's kind of a way out for him, if you will.
Yeah.
Titor also expressed assurance that the differences in timelines were minimal, as I mentioned before, such as changes in automobile names or book titles. Our listeners should be thinking, hello, Bernstein, Mandela effect.
Right.
Titor's most immediate prediction was a civil war in the United States, centered on order and rights, with civil unrest falling out just after the presidential election of that year. And remember, that was Republican George W. Bush versus Democrat John Kerry. Bush won, but his nomination was called false, and the presidency was stolen from Kerry due to, among other things, voting booth malfunctions, voting fraud.
Florida?
Right. A ton of controversy surrounded that election, and many Americans felt gypped. Titor claimed that after that 2004 election, many acts of domestic terrorism would start taking place, culminating in an all-out war by 2008, and ending in 2015. After the war, America would then be split into 5 separate regions. Now, obviously this didn't happen. But Titor was
Texas is his own region.
And California is talking about succeeding as well. So it could be coming true. Obviously, though, by the years he predicted, it didn't happen. But he was right in that something was going to be up with that election. And America's faith in the voting system was rattled, and it's had lasting effects ever since. You can't deny that. In a February 5th, 2001 post, Titor wrote, "None of the things I have said will be a surprise. They were set in motion 10, 20, even 30 years ago. Are you really surprised to find out that Iraq has nukes now? Or is that just BS to whip everyone up into accepting the next war?" A lot of people point to this specific prediction by Titor to prove his authenticity as a time traveler. He's very specific on why we go to war with Iraq. WMDs were in the news, right?
Yeah.
Weapons of mass destruction that Saddam Hussein was supposedly hiding was the reason we were given as the American public as to why we went to war with Iraq. There are not, WMDs I mean, there are not, that was the reason we were given. He was right. Titor claimed there would be no Olympics held after 2004 because of all the conflicts going on. Obviously false.
Right, because we didn't separate, right?
In this timeline.
Right.
He was correct about the hidden functionality of the IBM 5100. Oh, yeah, that checks out. In another prediction, he talked about a mad cow pandemic. A mad cow pandemic. Now, there was an outbreak of, I'm going to try to get this right, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, or just CJD. The human form of mad cow disease. A long time ago. I believe it was even before Titor came onto the scene.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really a pandemic. However, CJD does have an incubation period of 10 to 20 years. Meaning that if a pandemic did happen, what Titor was talking about, there's a chance that today we still don't know about it yet. It's in incubation.
It has oh my God. It has a, what do you call that? The Man from the High Castle feel to it.
Oh,
Like
yeah, anyone who has the all-knowing, don't tell me too much.
No, I've only seen the first 2 episodes, but in it I got enough of a whiff of this is like an alternate reality.
There's definitely alternate realities
right.
going on in that. In
the
that
first
show.
episode tells you that alone, so it's not like a spoiler to say that.
So we didn't have to say spoiler alert.
No, because I've never seen the whole show, but it reminds me of that.
Yeah, no, you're right. Me too.
And the whole Japan owns half the United States, and
it's broken into different territories.
Right, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, messed up.
Now, Titor predicted that some very interesting things will come out of CERN. Just listen to Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast episode 64, Holy CERN, for more info on that. And I'll just leave it there. And I'll leave the link to that episode in the show notes. So let's just say with Titor's prediction that cool things will come out of CERN, I'll call that prediction true. Listeners, check out episode 64. In another, and this one kind of gave me the willies, gave me the creeps. In another post, Titor asks, "Can you share with me how you solved the overheating problem on your space plane? Can you share with me how you solved the overheating problem on your space plane?" Believers claim that this question is a direct reference to the Columbia Space Shuttle disaster of 2013, where a piece of foam fell off and damaged one of the shuttle's wings during takeoff, resulting in superheated air to penetrate the ship during re-entry, causing it to disintegrate and kill all those people.
Yeah, that was an awful disaster.
Terrible. And the list of predictions go on and on. Some seemingly came true, depending on how you look at them, granted, but some were blatantly incorrect. Right. So the question is, was John Titor really a time traveler from 2036, or was he just a perfectly timed hoax? Titor, if he was a prankster, had the perfect audience on Coast to Coast AM. Millions of listeners already in the mindset to believe. And he made his appearance during a time when things were a little more innocent, and the internet and internet forums were still considered new technology. Seems like a perfect recipe for a story like this to take hold and take off.
I mean, at that time, 90s, right?
When?
The
2000s.
2000s.
Yeah.
Started
in 1998.
Started in 1998.
Majority active 2001. That's when he disappeared. Was March 2001.
Yeah, because right before 2001, 90s especially, there was a lot of a lot of secret government talks. A lot of X-Files was the biggest show on the planet, and that show is all about that kind of thing, and it tapped into a kind of like a wish fulfillment maybe, or dread wish fulfillment, like the opposite of that would be, of secrets being leaked out, and what are those secrets and why are they affecting us?
Yeah, almost like a sense of paranoia. It was innocent time, new technology.
Right. We had nothing to bitch about, so we made shit up to bitch about, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It kind of feels that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can see that.
So if it was a hoax just to get attention, it worked. Because look at us, here we are, 17 years later, and we're still talking about it, still debating it.
Yeah.
So that's John Titor. I love that story.
That's a good one.
That's probably the most my most favorite recent story.
Are there links on there on the show?
We'll have links to his manual, for example, of his time machine doohickey, to our episode where we talk about CERN, how Titor was making predictions about the cool stuff coming out of CERN.
By the way, CERN is going to be rapidly is going to be the redheaded stepchild of a lot of stories.
CERN, it ties into a lot of this stuff, and
fucking CERN.
Let me expand on that.
Yeah.
So that was John Titor. Now let's go back to 1954. This story is called "The Man from Taured." That's Taured for those who want to look this up. The Man from Taured. In July 1954, a bearded, neatly dressed Caucasian man arrived at Haneda Airport, also known as the Tokyo International Airport, after getting off of an airplane that originated in Europe. When the man arrived at customs, he politely told customs officials that this was his third business trip to Japan. His primary language was French, although reports say he spoke fluent Japanese, proving that he's been to Japan before, and many other languages as well. The man presented an official-looking passport to customs officials indicating that he is from a country called Taured, and it also contained visa stamps showing that the man did in fact travel to Japan previously, just like he said.
Okay.
Here's where it gets weird. The problem here is the Japanese custom officials do not recognize a country called Taured.
Right.
And they insist it does not exist. Now,
Never heard of it.
Right. Now, of course, this raises red flags, and the man is whisked away for interrogation. When the officials presented the man with a map, he points to a region on the border between France and Spain. This, he insists, is where his country of Taured is located and has existed for 1,000 years. However, in this timeline, our timeline, the timeline of that year, in this timeline, the area is not called. I need sleep. I'm sorry. However, in this timeline, the timeline of that year, the area is not called Taured. It's called the Principality of Andorra. As the story goes, the man became visibly upset, insisting that there was a mistake and that the area is really called Taured, his country of origin. Now, I've never heard of the Principality of Andorra.
I've heard of Andorra,
so I looked it up. Oh, you did? Yes. I had no idea. But I suck at geography, so I looked it up. And you're right, Oscar. It does exist, and it does sit right on the border between France and Spain. France in the north, and Spain in the south, on the Iberian Peninsula.
Yeah, it's like really, really small, like Morocco small.
Yes, it's considered a microstate.
Yes.
And it was formed in 1278. And it's the 16th smallest country in the world by land, 11th smallest country by population.
Wow.
Is this where you're from, Andorra? Questioned the Japanese officials, pointing to the map. No, said the man solemnly.
Never heard of Andorra.
I'm from Taured. Now, I remember John Titor. He said these ultimate timelines have subtle differences from our own current timeline. The name of books, for example. In the Man from Taured's timeline, a country sitting on the border did exist as it does in our timeline, only it was called Taured instead of Andorra. subtle differences.
Is there any, what's the big connection to Taured? Why would it be called Taured in one timeline and not Taured in the other?
No one knows.
Okay.
What changed? What changed?
I mean, they were talking about not thousands, but maybe thousands anyway, but hundreds of years of history to culminate into making a name for a country, right?
You would think, yeah.
Right? Some names are named after
1200.
Are straight up after kings. Some of them are named after a combination of peoples, of their language. It's impossible to really track it down. Not impossible, sorry, but it's really hard to track it down.
It's hard to track it down.
So maybe maybe like the cousin of Andorra got success to the throne or something instead of Andorra himself.
Someone took it over or something.
And the guy's name was Taured, but we'll never know him now because in our timeline he died prematurely or something.
Good, yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, that sucks. I wish we could get a connection to the name.
I know. The man claimed he was in Japan for business, a business meeting, again, for the fourth time. However, when the business he was supposed to meet was called by authorities to confirm this man's identity, people at the other end of the line said they never heard of him. Same with the hotel he was supposed to stay at. No reservation was under his name. And the checkbook he was carrying was for a bank that didn't exist.
What was it called?
They never said.
Oh, God damn it. It's the first fucking question.
Realizing they were getting nowhere, the Japanese officials decided to sequester the strange man overnight at a hotel so they could continue their investigation. By now, they were afraid that they had an international criminal in their midst. The man from Taured's belongings were confiscated and locked away inside a secure location at the airport, including his official-looking passport, an official-looking driver's license issued by Taured, his wallet containing various other country currencies, his checkbook, and a few other personal documents.
Was there a Taured currency or no?
No.
They probably too small a country to make its
all
own.
the stories,
they probably save euros or use euros or French.
Yeah, all the stories just say they were multiple other country currencies, proving that he kind of lived this jet-set lifestyle.
Yeah.
Been to Japan 3 times, he's a businessman, going for business meetings. So all these things kind of were making his story add up. He was just from a place that didn't exist. The man was then escorted to a hotel, and guards were posted outside his room should he attempt to escape. Again, they were thinking they had some criminal mastermind on their hands.
Right, yeah. But, okay, continue.
So the next morning, when officials went to retrieve the man for further questioning, when they entered his room, guess what? The man from Taured was gone, vanished, never to be seen again. Now, the room did contain a single window, but it was a ledgeless window, high above a busy street. So unless he could fly,
Right, okay.
So unless he could fly, the window was not a means of escape, and there were guards stationed at his door. He never came out the front door. Now, back at the airport, all of the man's confiscated items vanished as well, effectively erasing any evidence that the man from Taured ever existed. It was as if this crazy event never happened. The Japanese officials' problems were solved. They got rid of this issue, this problem person, but the problem remained for the world. To this day, 64 years later, people still whisper about the plane traveler who was, but wasn't. So is this just a simple hoax, an urban legend, or was the man from Taured really a time traveler? Was he a victim of a time slip? Now we talked about CERN. Here's a strange connected going back to our CERN podcast episode. CERN was founded in 1954, the same year the event with the man from Taured took place. Yeah. So CERN was founded in September 29, 1954 to be exact. In 1955, CERN's synchrocyclotron, which uses high magnetic fields to accelerate particles, CERN's first particle accelerator, in fact, was assembled and up and running by what CERN tells the public was 1975. 2 years to complete the largest mechanical device of its time. I just didn't buy it. There's a high probability that this device was up and running much sooner, in one form or another, before it was officially announced. So I did some research. There were versions of the synchrocyclotron created as early as 1945. In fact, the Office of Naval Research funded the construction of 2 synchrocyclotrons In 1946, Philadelphia experiment, anyone? One of those builds took place right here in Chicago, at the University of Chicago, under the director of Enrico Fermi of Fermilabs.
Yeah.
So yes, CERN experiments were taking place before and during the Man from Taured event in 1957, even if it wasn't yet called CERN. And what do we say could be a side effect of firing up these devices when we discussed CERN back in episode 64? Time rifts, time slips, alternate realities, and Mandela effect. Was the Man from Taured an unintended victim of unintended synchrocyclotron side effects? I'll leave that for the listeners to decide.
And also, food for thought on the same thing. We talked about it in probably that episode, maybe one before that or one between them, about how we never can find in history this kind of like a marker. We don't know, nothing's written down about this kind of behavior in our history. So how do we know if something catastrophic happened when they fire these engines up? These are it. We're seeing the historical chapters in a time travel of history book that is yet to be written, maybe. Like, because we talk about, like, we can see where the fall of, of a certain kingdom or a fall of a political outlook or Dostoevsky's, whatever the fuck, right? We can see that. We can see when the manifesto was written. We can see when people start taking it. We can see Stalin's downfall. We write all that down.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
This is the same kind of blueprint. These are the historical things I was asking about before. Like, well, what happened? Like, if 1984 is a big year, what happened in 1984?
Oh, yeah, we were talking, I think that was the CERN episode when we were painting this 1984
But we were also talking about some other years, too. Like how do we know what's in history books, what they're going to show, when they're not going to show? Like, if it wasn't in the news, how do we know it happened? Or how do we know it's important for it to happen? It seems like you're just telling us stories that, if those things are true, if that guy was real in Japan, all this stuff, that these are the historical markers.
Oh, I see.
Maybe, historically speaking. Like, these are the signs that is happening. Or maybe it's worse than that. Maybe it's like, this is how time is telling us, stop fucking around. These are the warnings. It's like these symptoms. These are symptoms.
Symptoms, okay.
Yeah.
I see where you're going with that.
Like, you get the pain first, or before you get the pain, you get discomfort. And then you get the pain if you let it go longer. And then you get a ruptured spleen or whatever the hell it is.
So out of these examples I talked about today, what would be the discomfort, pain, and exploded spleen?
Well, I don't even know if we were still in the first stage or if it's or not. Well,
maybe the shifting of automobile names or book titles, Berenstain. Maybe that's a discomfort. It's annoying. It makes you think, am I crazy, or was that? Then you get the actual pain, which is maybe now people are being transported like the Man from Taured.
That's funny that you saw it that way. That's good. That's good. I didn't think of it that way.
But then the exploding spleen,
what
would that be?
Well, we'd be gone.
What's that? Okay.
Probably.
So maybe we're in that middle stage.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, but I'm glad you thought of it that way. I didn't think of that, but that's clearly more obvious. What I was thinking is that they're both the same symptom, but it's just that it hurts more with humans because humans are living beings. Bernstein Bears is an idea. They're a thing. It's different to change a thing. So they're both the same symptom. They're not like
interesting.
It's not like it's like if one is discomfort, they're both discomfort. It just feels way worse with the human because it's more complicated. They have memories and they can feel things.
They can interact with
right. Whether or not you were taught in history, whether or not Mandela died in a certain year or not, that doesn't change the man fundamentally. It just changes what your memory is of history books. Right?
Yeah.
So I think they're both the same symptom. We just see those material facts as smaller, and the human guys, like this Taured guy, as a more bigger deal because it's a human person,
right? That's
being jumped all over the place or whatever.
No, that's great thought.
How do you spell Taured, by the way? Again?
Taured.
Ed. Okay.
Taured. Taured. Taured.
Okay, I misspelled it before.
So, interesting stuff, you think? Good topic?
Yeah, I love it.
So let me ask you, before we bring it to a close, if you could time travel, if you followed John Titor's time machine manual to a T, and you could harness all this, energy and technology, what year would you go back to? Who would you be and why?
Who would I be? You mean I'd be a different person?
Yeah, if you would be a different person, different class of person, different position in life, what decade and why?
Well, there's a joke I heard in a podcast once. I forget which one it was. Someone asked, it was like an interview, funny, jokey thing, right? And they were talking about time travel. I think Back to the Future specifically. Uh-huh. And they had a black comedian on stage, and they asked him, like, if you were to time travel, where would you go? They asked him something like that, right? Like what you're asking me. Yeah. And he's like, never ask a black person a time travel question, because anytime they go back in time, they're being subjugated, they're being killed, and it's awful for them. So he's like, from 80s on forward. Like, he doesn't want to go any back further than that.
Makes sense.
So similar to Hispanics.
I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah,
I thought you were gonna. All right.
Yeah, never ask a black man.
So to a good, you would transport back to a good time for Hispanics.
Right.
Your heyday.
My heyday.
Like Aztec Mexico, or?
Oh man, awful. We're just murdering fools.
Murdering fools.
Based on eclipses and shit. It's not good. It's not good.
The moon tells me to do. I'm gonna cut your head off.
Right.
I've seen Apocalypto.
No, that has some good stuff for sure. Okay, seriously. What I find so dubious or wrong or weird is that a person would. Why would someone decide? Why would someone not care, but decide to do that? Like, why would I need to do that? To travel, possibly fuck everything up. To warn, I guess. Some of these people are doing it for warning. Some of them accidentally get slipped in and out.
Right.
I don't know. It's too big. I don't think I would do it. I just don't think I would do it.
Okay.
Like, if I guess if someone tells me, if you can time travel, would you do it? I do it for kicks, but I wouldn't do anything. Like, I wouldn't even raise dust in the wrong way, much less tell people.
Like the movie The Butterfly Effect. Right? Am I thinking of the right one?
I was thinking of a much more sophisticated book in my head.
Oh, what is it?
But you could think of The Butterfly Effect, sure.
What is it? What were you thinking?
This is a book called Einstein's Dreams.
You reviewed this in one of our podcast episodes a long time ago.
I did. And then it talks about how time travelers are so afraid to change the a potentially worsen time travel not time travel, but time altogether, is because like, if they kick up dust in the wrong time on a street, right, they could alter one person's future, which can alter. And they talk about the minutia of one example going farther down into generations.
God, that's interesting.
And that how you can never know. And most time travelers look like homeless people that don't talk to anyone because they don't want to talk to anyone. They don't want to.
For fear of fucking things up.
For fear of fucking things up.
Oh, that's awesome. Einstein's Dream?
Einstein's Dreams.
Let's check it out. Einstein's Dreams, listeners.
Yeah, I talked about it a long time ago. But yeah, I was thinking of that. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not saying I'm that paranoid, but I'm more on that league.
Okay.
Than I am on just fucking around.
Okay. I know where I would go.
Yeah.
It would be two places. To 1930s, 40s Chicago, and I would choose to be a gangster.
Great place for me.
I'm already Italian, so I'm halfway there.
Zoot suit times.
I would wear badass suits with bowler hats. I would smoke cigars and drink whiskey and bathtub gin. Mm-hmm. I would, I'd want to be like an enforcer, definitely. I want to live that old Chicago outfit lifestyle. I'm enamored with that. I love that time period. Yeah, I love that time period. It's such a cool time. Or I would go back to the 1950s, that real wholesome time in America.
Well, it's quote unquote.
Leave It to Beaver.
Have you seen Mad Men?
Mad Men, yeah. Leave It to Beaver and what was the Andy Griffith. And you left your doors unlocked and you drove bomb-ass cars with lots of chrome, and guys and girls went steady instead of just fucking on the first date. There was romance involved and love, and the man supported. You didn't need two incomes. A man did it, goddammit, and he did it while he was half drunk. And you took care of your family. They drank a lot back then. They really did.
They really drank a lot.
And I would smoke cheap cigarettes, and I would probably grease my hair, but I would be productive. I'd be like a productive greaser in the 50s.
Okay. All right.
That's what. That's honestly, I'm in love with those two kind of decades, the 30s, 40s, and then 50s.
I'm in love with the
50s, like California.
I'm in love with the Roaring 20s.
That kind of goes in with the 30s.
The jazz stuff going up in there. The flapper
girls, yeah.
Flapper girls. Although I don't like the idea that back then a whore would be like showing your ankles. Right?
I'm used to full frontal.
Right.
Today,
I'm used to, just full on frontals. For a date means
look
that.
At those ankles. I'm going to get on those ankles.
And you were just talking about going to the 50s with wholesomeness and shit.
Lick your ankles.
Although I really did love those.
Fuck your ankles.
I love...
Oh, God. Could you edit that out?
No, I definitely will not. Those dresses, those get-ups that in the 1950s, they were nice. They were really, I mean, they were all the way down, but they were really nice.
Yeah, they kind of showed curves and
yeah, they did
curves and things.
Them. But I like the Roaring 20s. I like the idea of going to a city like like Constantinople before it was Istanbul.
Istanbul is Constantinople. Yeah. Istanbul. Where's Dave? He loves that song.
Because that city, I like the idea of that city because that city was the New York in its heyday. Oh. Like before New York was a city of the world, the city that houses everything, the city that makes all the movies and books and whatever.
Well, it could have been Rome, it could have been Constantinople.
Right. But the reason Constantinople it's still, I mean, in my opinion, it's still a bigger city is because it ports 3 continents. It's a perfect city that's like has 3 different sides of 3 vast religions. And 3 different continents, not to mention like probably hundreds of countries in this. Yeah. So and they go through all the seas and everything, and it's a really big mecca of a city. And it's pretty,
so you're there for the history, the culture, the language, the beliefs, practices, religion.
Maybe be in that restaurant when Duke Ferdinand was shot and World War I started. That would nice to see to be there on that day. See that?
Oh, you're taking a way higher road than I took.
Because I just want to see that.
I'm proud of you.
I just want to see that. Because it's amazing how that happened. I just read a book on just that day alone. It's
cool.
It's really cool. They have the guy who shot him. He had his plaque fingerprints on the floor there or on the banister or something because he shot him and he went for a sandwich. He missed his shot, and then when the French Ferdinand came back,
he went for a sandwich.
He went for a sandwich and saw him. By chance, after missing his first assassination attempt, took advantage and shot him. Then
that's a movie script right there.
Yeah. It's too fake. Yeah, like stranger than fiction thing.
Oh man, if we're going like witnessing historical events, God, that
a lot of people would say JFK probably.
That would be one to think about. Yeah, JFK.
Have binoculars on the grassy knoll.
Yeah, or prevent it somehow.
Take a few pictures just to show Oliver Stone here. Fucking no conspiracy.
This is who fucking did it. It was Oswald.
Right, it was Oswald. Yeah.
And I think it was, but I don't know what historical event I would want to be at. I got to really think about that.
Oh, the Munich. The Islamic.
When they took the people hostage.
Yeah, they took the people hostage.
They were Olympic athletes. Weren't
they were.
Yeah, I forgot the.
In Munich
name for that event, but
I forgot the whole thing. But yeah, that's a big one too.
Well, I guess if you go back to assassinate Hitler, or you go back to
I wouldn't change anything. I don't want to say it.
Okay.
No, I mean,
because maybe I'm not even going to say this. I think that's even too.
For all I know,
stop right there.
No, say whatever you want. I mean, we're not going to have.
Well,
machines.
If one of the people that Hitler killed, who were innocent at the time, or would have grown up to be like a child, would have grown up to be the next Hitler, even worse, or so maybe killing, going back and changing things that drastic. You're probably right. Probably shouldn't be done.
Right, and then one day. Not in our lifetimes. We'll say the same thing about Trump.
And on that, folks.
Yeah, right.
Should we be taken home by somebody?
Yeah, I guess. I feel like I want to talk more and speculate, theorize, but I don't know where to start.
We got a little bit of time.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know where to start. Exactly. We said some things already, but I don't know it's just so much, and I'm thinking of so many movies, so many time-traveling movies that talk about and explore so many of these ideas in many different angles. You almost can I even make a different, more fresher take on time travel? But yeah, they can because there's so many different avenues.
Well, it's the one that just came out with, what's her face? The one that was on Netflix.
I still need more information.
She was in Star Wars.
She was in Star Wars.
She? what's her name? Natalie Portman, right?
Oh, you're talking about Annihilation?
Annihilation, yeah.
It's not on Netflix.
Isn't that? It's not Netflix.
Oh, I think Netflix did buy it, but they haven't released it yet.
Oh, I saw it on Terrarium. I pirated it.
First of all, that's my favorite movie of the year.
So
so
was
far.
Was that time?
That's not
rift?
time traveling.
It's not time traveling. Okay.
I don't think so at all. It's DNA changing. It's changing the composition of matter, which is another matter altogether. So that's a whole ball of wax.
Bring in CERN.
But it's nothing to do with time traveling, I don't think.
Okay.
I mean, everything happens pretty linearly.
That's the most recent one I could think of.
But that's a goodie.
Yeah.
That's a good movie. I like that movie. Yeah, but check Primer.
Yeah, we could. Wait, what'd you say?
Primer. Check that out.
Primer.
Yeah.
Yes. And I can find that on Netflix, you think?
It was on Netflix for a long time. I don't know if it's still on there, but if not, you can.
I'll check my sources.
I have it on DVD.
Oh, even better.
So, just bring it over.
And we could revisit this topic another time.
Yeah,
I have a feeling these topics are going to kind of weave themselves through future episodes, just even.
I also like that we had
by happenstance.
We've had so many shows on different things. Obviously, the Mandela effect being probably the biggest modern topic we've covered. That everyone knows.
Yeah.
Like everyone just knows. Like the way people know what Rice Krispies are or whatever.
That was a weird analogy.
I don't know. It's the first thing that came
That's
out.
awesome.
I literally do everything on top of my head. So, yeah. And I think I like how we just connect all these. Like we don't, not exactly connect, but we can put a different square peg into that round hole to make something fit better. Like we were talking about time traveling men today, all these people that have these stories, the facts, or whatever, and we can insert how it can affect other shows that we talked about, like the Mandela Effect, like CERN, and like so we're starting to really connect a lot of things together that have nothing really to do with spirits of any sort or ghosts, but it's like the ghost of reality, So it's interesting. I like how we just combining it.
Great. Oh, I'm glad you like it, man.
Yeah.
What do you say we bring it to a close?
Let's get the fuck out, yeah.
Let's bounce. Oscar, take us home.
Will do. All right. Today's episode of the Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast is brought to you by lootcrate.motherfucking.com. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
That is outtake. Sounds like a preacher jumping.
Right? Do I hear an amen? All right. Serious face.
Nice.
SOS-radio and enter code BRIDGE10. Bitches. So, yeah, obviously, I fucked up like 3 times. All right. You're right, it's a little harder now. I feel like I'm performing for no one. I never had this on my own show. I think the first time I did, our first show ever, we did this. We had big problems getting our voices out there. We're like, I don't know. Right, yeah.